Happy Thursday, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Hey, Kyle.
Pretty good.
Awesome,
Doing good.
awesome.
Well, hey.
Okay, that was really weird. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
interesting. Everything broke. This has been happening a little bit for me too, so I don't know what's going on with Zoom.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick internet test here. All right, in the meantime, though, I am not going to be the first speaker for tonight. We're going to give it like just a minute more, but we're going to be having a surprise announcements, a surprise speaker, hint, hint, it might be Clark, here in a little bit. So give us one more second to get some more people online and we will get started.
Kyle, you're making me sound a lot more exciting than I actually am.
It's so awesome. Everyone's going to lose their mind. Get ready.
Why don't we start taking dinner? Come on, let's start. Okay. Hi.
What is that in your background?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a music video that I'm in.
Oh yeah, me and my friends are making a music video too.
This one is actually a professional music video though. It's for chronic illness and brain injuries.
Okay, I'm gonna kick it off real quick. I think we got enough folks on, and just kick off a second. So y'all may have seen my announcement in the Slack, and I just wanted to up in, explain a little bit about what that means. So, in case you have not seen the announcement, basically the way that right now for you the autograder works is, you go in, you accept the GitHub Classroom link, and it creates a replit. Awesome, right? Except
Not really.
that we're pretending we like the autograder right now. But React has decided to end the integration with GitHub Classroom,
Yes.
which means that GitHub Classroom will not be able to talk to Replit as far as we know. It may not, we kind of don't know what's going to happen with it over the next month, but we know by August, it will no longer work. And so we don't want you guys to lose any of your work. We don't want y'all to experience interruptions. So for assignment 3, we are just giving you starter code in a replit. That starter code is in the assignment. If you've already started the assignment, it still works. The repo you've created that has already been created should still work, but you no longer need to push it to GitHub. You no longer need to check the auto grader. Everything for assignment 3, it'll be manually graded. Your TAs will have a rubric. They will grade it. They will give you feedback. Assignments 4, 5, and 6 will still use the auto grader, but I hope you'll find the auto grader, at least the pushing and committing aspect of it, is just like any other Git project. It's just like any other project with Git, which you will understand a lot more. A lot of things will hopefully about committing will make a lot more sense in the next couple days of class, because you're learning a lot more about how Git works and what it does. So I'm hoping that the autograder and the process of committing your work will be easier for assignments 4, 5, and 6. But for assignment 3, in the textbook, there is now just a link to a plain Replit with the starter code. But like I said, if you've already started it, please do not lose all your work. You do not need to go back and restart it. The starter code is identical. You just don't need to worry about committing and pushing your work anymore. And if you have any questions about what that looks like, please feel free to reach out to me about any of this issues. We know that we appreciate your flexibility and your grace. We did not anticipate what happened. We definitely did not anticipate them ending their integrations. So we appreciate you. And then the other thing I have for you is yet another survey. This one is a feedback survey. We want to know feedback about the class, about the pace of it. We're just over halfway through Unit 1. In fact, I think this week marks about the halfway point of Unit 1. So it's time for us to get some feedback about the class, about the lecture, about your TFs, about whether we're meeting your expectations. It's a chance for me to take stock and see, are there ways we can pull to make this better? Are there ways we can serve you better and make sure you're learning what you need to be learning, and make sure we are doing everything possible to give you the best LC 101 experience you can have. I know surveys are not the most fun, but please know I read every survey. I read all the comments. I care a lot about what you have to say, and this is an anonymous way for you to provide feedback so I can make this class better. I want to know. As always, if you have feedback or ways that you want to talk to me not anonymously, I'm always available on Slack. So I believe that is all I have. Kyle, are you still on?
I sure am.
Okay, perfect.
Let's hope I don't crash again. All right, everyone. 1 second here to get situated. Awesome. Thanks, Clark. All right, guys, I'm going to go and share. As you can tell, while I'm getting set up, I am not with my California flag. Unfortunately, I am on travel this week. So Kyle got dragged to Wisconsin. So that's where I am at today in a Victorian household. So if you see a ghost, let me know because I need to get out of here. All right. From start there. And I'm going to go ahead and get some stuff moving there. And also, I forgot, like, why isn't anybody talking to me? Also, flights are rough lately. I don't know why. I think all the weather or something like that. It is just exhausting in those airports now. Oh, how is everybody doing this beautiful Thursday? Or kind of slightly cloudy?
All good.
All good?
Yeah, we're doing good.
That's great to hear. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
I'm about to have a song dropping tomorrow.
There you go. Congratulations. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I need to do one more thing. There we go. Awesome. Live transcripts. We're recording. Awesome. Yes.
So we can't do assignment 2 anymore on Replit?
That is a good question. What do you mean you can't do it anymore?
Oh, Clark said that we won't be able to use Replit anymore.
No, you can use Replit. It just doesn't integrate with GitHub Classroom. So you know how when assignment 1, you got that green check mark?
Yeah.
That's because GitHub Classroom and Replit were talking to each other. But they are no longer talking to each other. As long as you have started assignment 2 already, you're fine. You just don't need to go to GitHub Classroom. You don't need to go to GitHub to look at your repo. You just need to go to your Replit, do it all on the Replit, and turn in the link to your Replit. If you have not started assignment 2 at all, please reach out to me because I think we need to treat you as a special case. So as long as you've started it,
Like open file and something like that?
What?
So like if you open up the file and
Yep.
yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, as long as you can open the file and open that Replit, you should be totally fine. It just affects the way Replit talks to the auto grader. But I'm not entirely positive if you have not started entirely. So if you've not started at all, that means if you've never clicked the link in the assignment, if you are behind or you've just not gotten around to it, that you might be in a special case, and then reach out to me, because we might need to adjust you. But otherwise, you're just doing the assignment too, like normal. If you're still finishing it up, you just don't. Instead of turning in the GitHub Classroom link or the link to your GitHub, you're turning in the link to your Replit. And like I
Myron,
said,
can I help you? Okay, sorry, Clark.
no, like I said, I can clarify for individual situations. If you're having issues, Slack me.
Awesome. Myron, does that help?
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks.
All right, fantastic. Layla, that's a fantastic question. I love that. Let's hop into it, everyone. So we are at 5:41 here. We have a lot of announcements to go through, as Clark already saw it. So we're going to just hop in here. Hope everyone's Monday is going just absolutely swimmingly. Why can't I do what I want? Zoom, you and I are just not friends today. I don't know what it is. Thank you. There we go. It's like, oh, Kyle, you want to have a good day today? Nah, not today. I'm going to crash on you all the time, all day. All right, let's get started here. Announcements, as always. I just got a question. Let me get that Slack back up there. First announcement of the night here. What we have is, well, I guess second or third announcement of the night. First announcements for me. We have assignment 3 walkthrough tonight. So after we go through lecture, what we're going to do is do an extra 30 minutes or whatever it takes there to do a quick walkthrough of Mars rover, just to get the true introduction to you all about assignment 3. So hopefully you all have read assignment 3 before this lecture. It does help out a lot more. So next thing, no studio review tonight. Instead, we're going to be doing that Mars walkthrough. Also, we're going to be going through a very, very close example of the studio tonight as well during lecture. So hopefully we won't need that. If you do have any questions that you need answered from me, feel free to direct message me about the studio. Then finally, Layla, this is answering your question. No lecture Monday and Thursday next week. So there will be no class at all on Monday, but there will be no lecture on Thursday. You'll still be meeting in your small groups on Thursday. It will be a catch-up day. So make sure you are still going to your small group on Thursday. Make sure you're going to your small group on Thursday. All right, that's my announcements for you all. Before we hop into it, any final questions? Because we got some fun stuff to go through tonight. I'm really excited about this because we get to like evolve as developers. So get ready.
On Thursday, would it be at 5:30 that we would go to our small groups?
Yes, and every catch-up day from here on out will always be at 5:30. You just won't come to lecture. You'll go right to your small groups. It will always start at 5:30. When it ends, it's typically up to your smaller groups, but usually it goes to about 8:30 still. But yes, 5:30 is when it begins. Great question.
Okay, thanks.
I also
Absolutely.
have a question about attendance policy. I mean, if you tend to miss a couple days of your studio review, is there like a repercussion or anything like that? Or is there a certain amount of classes that you shouldn't miss?
When attendance is extremely important in launch code, mainly
Definitely.
because not only does attendance typically dictate whether or not somebody continues on in launch code, meaning that the material doesn't overwhelm, but also, yes, your TFs will be keeping track. If we notice that a lot of classes are being missed, sometimes that does result in at least an additional meeting with Clark or another success coach possibly to make sure that everything is okay on your end. We understand that life does get a little bit in the way sometimes, so we're definitely lenient on it, but attendance is extremely, extremely recommended for all those studio reviews because we go over all the material there, and so if we miss that, that's typically when people tend to fall behind. So
Fall behind. Yep, exactly.
So yeah, that would be the attendance policy in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, anybody else before we get started? All right. In that case, you all know the drill here. Let's start with a fun exercise. Let's go ahead and help me construct an application that asks a dog's name that we will be sending into space. We're going to send a dog into space this class. Isn't this fun? To go with the launch code theme and also my dog thing meshed into one. How do we do this? What do we start with?
Const dog name equals.
So I like that, and we'll get there in a second. Put that on the back burner. What should we do absolutely first? What do we need to accomplish this task?
Read line sync.
Real sync.
Very good. We're going to bring in that read line sync. So we start with const input equals, just because I chose the arbitrary name input. And then what do we do on the other side of the equal sign?
Read line sync.
Sync.
What's that keyword we're looking for? What's that keyword?
Require.
Require.
Very good. Require read line sync. Very good. That's how we're going to do this. So now, who was I don't recall who just said that answer, but what should we do after this now? We brought in that package. Now what do you do? What do we do?
A const dog name.
Yes, give the dog's name.
I like that. I'm hearing all the parts, and I'm going to put it all out there for you. Very good. Yeah, we have that let dog name equals input dot question, and then what dog are we sending into space? That's the question we're going to ask. Very, very good. Let's go over here and just make sure we're doing this correctly. So we said const input equals a require read line sync. There we go. And then we're going to say let dog name equals input dot question. And remember, guys, keep out for ghost behind me if you see it. What dog are you sending? Or are we sending in space? Are you sending to space? There we go. Let's go and run this, make sure it works. Press run. It's going to do that npm install. It's going to take a second because Replit is teaming up with Zoom sometimes and just makes my day a little bit longer. What dog are we sending into space? What dog are we sending into space, everyone?
Jameson.
Jameson, all right. I love it. All right, it's working so far. Let's continue on. We're going to move a little bit further down. And Andrew, I'm never joking. I'm a very serious person. All right, after we ask for the dog's name, you're going to need to prompt the user for the dog's age. Now, what are we going to do?
Let dog age equal.
Let dog age equal.
Equal.
Input dot question.
You make this
What is the dog's name?
Very good. How old is this dog? Awesome job. So let's go ahead and type that in now too. So let dog age equal input dot question. What is the dog's age? And we already just outran, so we're not going to run this one either. We're just going to keep that in there. I'm just typing this out to show you also a physical form of this, not just in the PowerPoint. Let's keep moving on. One thing I want to bring up about this is that input.question, what kind of data type does this function return? What kind of data type? A string, very good. But a dog's age is what kind of data type, ideally?
Number.
So what do we need to do here?
Type conversion? No.
I like that, Jade. Very, yeah. How do we do that exactly? We need to do a type conversion.
Question.
Number. Let dog age equal number.
We already did our dog age, remember. We already have dog age. So we're going to redefine dog age by saying dog age equals number dog age. This is our type conversion. So this is what we do here. Awesome job. So let's go ahead and type that out. So dog age equals number, because we're going to convert that string to a number, and type in dog age. Awesome, awesome. All right, any questions about this thus far? All righty, let's keep moving on. Let's do something fun here. Who remembers all this fun stuff? How do I begin to answer this question? Construct a dog class that holds a name and an age.
Class.
Very good, we got that keyword down. Class, what's next?
Dog.
Dog, but with what?
Capital D.
Capital D.
Air high five, everybody. Yes, a capital D, capital dog. Awesome job. So after we have these curly brackets, what do we put in next into our class? What's the first thing we build immediately?
Constructor.
Another air high five. Yes, exactly. Constructor. So what do we put inside this constructor parentheses?
Parameters.
Name and age.
Very good. The parameters. The parameters. Very good. And the two parameters, like we said in this question, we need to bring in the name and the age. That's what we're doing there. Now what's next? What do we need to do so this class remembers what's passed in under those parameters?
Type.
Name
equals name.
equals name.
Very good.
This dot
This
age
dot
equals
name
age.
equals name, and this dot age equals age. Awesome job. All right, but we know that we have to save this to its own file. I know in your last studio, there might have been this slight confusion of why we were able to do it in index.js. It's absolutely possible to do it in index.js, but that will only just be for right now. The standard is that we only make our own files for these classes. So that's what we're gonna do here. If I make it in my own class, what's the last thing I need to put in this file so it can be sent out? That Kyle forgot completely.
Export equals
Very
all.
good, exactly. This is my kryptonite right here. Yes, module.exports equals dog. Awesome, awesome. So let's go over here, and now we're gonna do this. So we're gonna add a file and say dog.js. We said in here, we're gonna say class.dog. And then what was the first thing we build always when we're constructing a class? Constructor. Yes, I know, poor choice of words on my part. I just basically gave you the answer, but awesome job. Name, age. And then what's the next thing we do in here?
This dot
Name
Dot
equals
name.
Very good.
This dot age
Dot
equals
age equals age. Awesome, awesome. And then finally, Kyle's kryptonite down here. We're gonna
module dot export.
Module.export. Awesome job. All right, there we go. We have our dog file.
And one
Awesome.
thing, Kyle, one question, Kyle, what does module.export do again? It just puts it in the file.
Exactly. So you can't share anything unless you export it. Just like you can't get, I don't even know, whatever good export is, avocados from Mexico unless they export it. We can't get dog unless we export it. Somebody else like index.js can't get dog unless we export it.
Gotcha.
So this line allows us to share our dog class that we've constructed with other files. That's the importance of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, Kyle,
Yeah, Johnny.
are you in Florida again?
No, today I'm in Wisconsin. Beautiful
Oh.
Wisconsin. Yes. But valid question. I have gotten enough tan and I'm up here to get white again. Very, very pale again.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
Pale. Yeah. All right. So anyway, continuing on. So now that we've constructed our dog class, we're going to be able to use our dog class in other files. So tell me this, to use user input to create a new user instance of, use the user's input to create a new instance of the dog class. How can we do that here? What's our first thing we need to do?
Class, is it?
Well, we like with readline sync, we started with what we needed in the file. We need to import it. Very good. We need to import it.
You gotta import the module.
So how do we do that? What are we going to do? I'll start you out.
Input console dog.
So console log, again, is just to output something to the screen. We're not going to use console log here. We need to bring in the dog package into this program here. So okay, so I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Wow.
Okay, so that was a lot of feedback. I apologize for whoever that was. There's a little bit of static there. So I'm gonna just go ahead and give us this answer. We need to bring in the dog class that we just built. So what we do is const dog with a capital D. We say require ./dog.js. This is how we're gonna bring in that dog class we just created. So now that we have it in there, how can we use the input to create a new instance of the dog class? What should we put down here?
Let.
I'll start you out. Let's say let dog candidate
Equal new dog.
Very good. New. We need that keyword new to create a new instance of our dog class. Very good. So new and then dog. And now what do we put inside these parentheses?
Parameters?
Dog name and dog age.
Very good. We have to use the variables up above dog name and dog age to construct our dog object. So you're absolutely right. We need to do dog name, comma, dog age. We pass this information in there to create the instance of the dog. Very good. This is exactly right. That's how we're going to use that user's input to actually create our own candidate dog. Everyone give themselves a round of applause. We just did that. All right. So any questions about what we just did here before we move on?
Candidate is spelled wrong on this.
It probably is because I'm not a good speller. So I apologize for that.
making a joke that it was meant to look like canine date or
Oh,
something.
yeah. Can a dog, yeah, love it.
I have something.
Amy, yeah, is it about what you just sent me over Slack?
Yeah, can you please
Okay.
tell that person to turn it to change the batteries? It really is hurting my ears.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, yeah, if there is a fire alarm in your background, yeah, if you could possibly just keep on mute or just moving to a different location. So,
Who are
thanks
you
everybody.
talking to?
I don't know. I just hear it in the background. So, whoever has a fire alarm, if you hear a fire alarm in the background, yeah, all I ask is just move to a quieter room, please. Thanks. All right. So moving back on. So we said we're going to say let dog candidate, and oh gosh, I cannot do it. Dog. Oh, I spelled it terribly. Candidate. Oh gosh,
Candidate.
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 C-A-N.
D after N, Kyle. A D after N.
Candidate.
There you go.
This is on you.
There we go. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So we say dog candidate new dog, and then dog name, and then dog age. There we go. So we used that user's input to construct this instance of the class using the constructor of the class. That's how we do it. There we go. And then finally, just for we're gonna find out. We're gonna console log this dog candidate. We're gonna console log this dog's candidate here, and we're gonna go ahead and run this. Let's go and do that. Candidate. Yeah, that's right. Okay, candidate. Thank you. Okay, what dog are we sending in this space? Jameson or Kyle, if you can't.
You didn't change it in the bottom.
You gotta change your other console.
Oh, so yeah, I'll change that. We're already running one with the word misspelt on the right-hand side, so we should be fine. So we say, what's the dog age is 7. We say dog is not defined because Kyle forgot to say const dog equals require /dog.js. There we go. And now that we have that, we're gonna go ahead and change that in the console log. Perfect, run that again. Got to do the .js part. We do. We absolutely do. Awesome call out there. What dog are we sending in space? Jameson. Oh, well, they're going to say 4. We're going to make Jameson a little older. And there we go. We have our dog object printed out, our instance of our dog here. We see a dog here and then our curly brackets. So awesome. We just created a successful dog object from a dog class. Everybody getting chills from the Monday lecture? Yeah, a little bit? Or everybody just feeling comfortable with classes? How does everyone feel about classes?
That's
Good.
cool.
2 thumbs up.
I like
that. Awesome. Great to hear. All right. So let's put all of this aside now that you're all comfortable with classes. Let's dive into something you're not comfortable with. I don't want all these smiles. All right. If Kyle has to travel and be miserable, you guys can't be happy. Let's do this. Tell me about this thing that I just circled, this .. Let's explore it a little bit closer. What does this mean exactly?
It's that file. In the same file or in the same folder.
Yeah, I like that. In a more direct sense, it means starting from the base directory. So whatever directory our application starts in, start there. Kyle, it's Thursday. Thank you, Grace. Yes, Gracie, yeah, it is Thursday. Did I say something else? Probably did. So yes, this / means starting from our base directory. Let's move on a little bit further. How about this .. What does this mean?
Parent directory.
Pattern that I grew up on.
Exactly, you can go up one. I heard it a few times. Go back a directory, go up a directory. Go back to the previous one, however you want to say it. That's what this .. means. It means go back one. So we're going to explore that a little bit further today. So everyone take a cute little, or look at this cute little GIF here while I do my things. Isn't it cute? Look at he's like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Why is he in the space station? This silly dog. He doesn't know how to run a space station. All right, let's keep going here. So we know, and this is our conversation for today, we know that computers are full of stuff. They're full of files, full of folders. And you know, a lot of folders and files, this is a tongue twister, are going to be incorporated in your assignments, into your projects, into your applications. So today we're going to kind of explore exactly how we navigate that as a coder. Traditionally, and even stuff I still do today, we usually go over all of our files in a very pretty looking window. And when I say pretty looking window, I mean that if we come over here, we go into like launch code or something like that, and create a new folder here that says inner folder, something like that. This is really nice. I can actually go around here and click things and go into things and like see all my photos. Does anyone have a lot of photos on them too? Like maybe thousands and thousands of photos on their laptop? You know that it looks pretty nice and we can find our stuff pretty quickly. Well, why we can do that is because designers and other coders work together to produce that for us. And what they produce is a thing called a GUI. That's what we're interacting with. This is a graphical user interface. It's something that just is a very useful thing for us to use. It's very easy to use, but as you might know, if you're trying to go into a folder within a folder within a folder within a folder, it can be very slow. You have to go through and click each one. I know this is fine if you're just trying to find your tax forms from 1995 because that one job wants it. But as a coder, you're going to be constantly going into inner directories all the time to try to find that one file that you need to correct in your code. Remember, applications are built upon hundreds of files sometimes. So you're going to have a lot of inner directories and you need to have a quick way of navigating all that stuff. So enter in something new. We need to bring in something into our knowledge, like our toolbox, that can help us navigate all these files very, very quickly. And what we use as coders is something called the CLI, which is the command line interface. You might have seen this, and sometimes even whenever like I was starting out, I was actually kind of scared of it. It's that black box that has like some text in there and wants you to type in to do something. If you've ever seen that on your computer, that's the command line interface. Also, if you've done the pre-work too, your Git bash is also a CLI. But what I'm going to show you today is the terminal on here. So I'm going to show you the Mac terminal, which I do the command space and type in terminal, and then press enter, and it pops up here. So this, what I'm going to type in here today, should also work on your Git bash if you're on a Windows machine. It should also work on your Mac if you do, again, command space and type in terminal. Terminal is another word for your CLI. And we're going to explore the power of this here for the first part of class. So let's go over here and talk about it. CLIs need commands, hence why it's called the command line interface. So we're going to explore what commands the CLI can use to help us out. So it's time to demand with some commands. And we're going to explore some of those right now. So the first one I really want to bring up to you is the ls. Now, why I'm showing you again all of these is because it's going to become very, very necessary here in the near future for us to do things with Git and with Visual Studio Code. So though you don't have to remember these commands right off the bat, there's not going to be a quiz at the end. It is good to at least show you the power of each of these very, very popular commands in the CLI. So let's go ahead and do that. ls means list our files. So if I want to just see all the files in a directory, I use the command ls. Let's go ahead and see that in action. If I want to go and see what's in Kyle Wegener, this home directory here, I press ls and it tells me everything that's in here. So yes, you get to see Kyle's personal laptop. I have so much fun stuff: applications, desktop, documents, movies, pictures, Eclipse, Git, iCloud. It's a very nerdy home directory. But that's what ls did, was show you all the files and folders in this directory. Let's keep going forward. Austin, call it a GUI. I will definitely keep calling it a GUI. I forgot what the other word, I think like, so coders have another pronunciation of it that's funny. I just like to say GUI, it's hilarious. All right, the next command we're gonna talk about is CD. CD stands for change directory. So this means if we wanna do a deep dive further into directories or hop out of there because we're in the wrong one. So let's go ahead and see that. I created this LC directory right here. So what I'm gonna do is try to get into that folder to see what's inside of it. Right now I'm on my home directory. I used ls to see what exactly I can hop into. I know that this is my desktop in the background. I see that desktop is right here. So what I do is type in CD and then desktop. It is case sensitive, so make sure you're typing in exactly how it's spelt, desktop. And now I see that it changed over here on the left-hand side. Awesome, I'm in my desktop directory. I type in ls and sure, and I have a lot of stuff. So in here, I want to get into this LC folder here. Well, this is actually really messy. So I'm gonna type clear to get everything out of my CLI there. I'm gonna type ls again. It's still really messy, but at least it got rid of some code, some lines of stuff. I'm gonna type in LC. So I'm gonna say CD LC. Type in that, and now I just have my inner folder. So I use CD to get into my directories there. So now I can explore stuff in there. I know, very, very exciting example, right? Kyle gets to navigate folders. Yes, keep your eyes awake, people. It's very fun. But I know, it is a little boring, but I do have to show you it just for your own benefit. All right, let's keep moving forward. Let's see if we can do something fun here. Okay, make directory. Make directory is kind of fun. This is going to allow us to create a folder in there. So I cleared stuff out and then brought it back again. Not necessarily. What I did is that I ran an LS beforehand and a second LS. Cleared all of them. And then I ran one more LS to bring all of the relevant stuff back. So though a lot of stuff came back, I removed some lines of code. So, but the one thing to take out of that is clear is a very good command to get rid of a lot of stuff in your terminal. All right, so mkdir is make directory, and then it comes the name of the directory, my new folder. I don't know if actually this is going to work. Maybe it will. Let's see. Oh no, it just made 3 new folders. Said my new folder. That's right. So mkdir. I'm going to put in quotes my new folder. Spaces are sometimes tricky. There it is. Spaces are kind of tricky in the CLI. Remember, spaces just means you want to do something additional. So if you need to do like a word with spaces in it, make sure you wrap it in quotes. So we just saw that in that example. All right, so let's go ahead and see this actually on the GUI if everything's working. It does. We have our inner folder, my new in folder, because I didn't wrap it in quotes, and then my new folder, because I did wrap that word in quotes when I was making the directory. Pay very close attention to that. Does clear delete your information? No, clear simply just puts it to the very top. So if I type in clear, it moves it there, but technically I could just scroll up and it's still there. It just brings the terminal all the way to the top. So your stuff is still there. It's just clear makes it look a little bit nicer because you can go absolutely crazy just seeing a bunch of lines of terminal output day after day. So clear just clears it all up. So if you do lose it, just go ahead and scroll up. That's how I scroll up on my mouse pad, if you were wondering. Okay, very good question. Let's keep moving forward. RM, remove. So this is going to remove a directory. Like I said over here in my LC, I created my new and folder. This was not correct. So what I'm going to do is going to remove those directories. So I'm going to say remove my, RM options, PTION. See if I can do, that's right. Remove removes a file. So what I want to do is rmdir, remove directory, and put my. There we go. So rm will remove a file. rmdir removes a directory. My is a folder, aka a directory. So that's why I had to run it that way. So next I could do my rmdir with new, and then rmdir with folder. And then I press ls, and now I see I only have 2 folders in there, inner folder and my new folder. Awesome, that's what I want to see. All right, these are only 4 examples, but there are a ton of different commands you can do with the command line interface on Git Bash on your Windows machines as well as on your Apple machines. So go ahead and feel free to explore those, but these are 4 very popular ones that you might be seeing while you're working with HTML or with any assignments and moving into the future with launch code. So I'm going to pause here. Does anyone have any questions specifically? Feel free to type that on the lecture questions channel. Just because I'm not going to pause here too long. All right, I see 1 person typing, so I'll wait here for just a second. All right. Basic differences between Windows Terminal and Git Bash. Really, the commands that are supported, that's the biggest thing. So Windows will have its own language per se, or own type of commands it knows, and so will Git Bash. But sometimes you'll see a lot of similarities. So sometimes there are a lot, sometimes there aren't. But in the end, it's the commands that it supports are the biggest differences. I'm trying to reach folders within my desktop. How would I do that? If you're trying to reach folders, you want to use CD. CD will change your directory. So make sure you type CD and then wherever you're at and find your desktop through your directories. So CD is how you're going to do that to get into that desktop. Use LS to find out what's exactly in the directory you're currently on and try to navigate to your desktop to find that folder. How permanently is RM? Does it completely delete that file, or is it recoverable? I believe it deletes it. Let's see. I believe it deletes it. Yeah. So if you don't know if you want to delete it or not, don't run RM. Drag it to trash. That's probably what you would want to do. And I can look that up too on the side because I don't exactly know how permanent it is. I think it might be machine to machine because I remember running RM on Windows sometimes and it just went to recycle bin, but on Apple, it just completely removed it. All right. No other questions here. I'm going to go ahead and continue on into the next thing just because we got to keep on time here today. All right. So this is with commands. So the next thing I want to bring up to you is that we did the terminal. You've been doing JavaScript. But as you know, if you were looking into the material, the next thing we get to discover are websites. The reason why JavaScript was created was to make our websites on the web more interactive. So JavaScript allowed actions to be produced on websites, but beforehand, websites were very, very static. If anybody remembers the original websites, it didn't have too much stuff on them. It was very, very much just to the point, let's say. It just had information there. And honestly, that's why the web was created, was an information sharing resource. So it just really had words there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is that we're going to go to launch code. We're going to go to, oh, that was the wrong thing, of course. This one, that's what we need. So we're going to go to here to the launch code education thing. And so what I want to do today is look at these web pages and really understand and lift up the curtain about websites before we truly dive into HTML to kind of learn more about what websites are. So how we do that, and pay close attention to this part. If we want to discover what's inside of a website, what really makes it tick, here we just see the facade. This is the fancy thing that we've always seen in our life. But if we want to lift up that curtain and get into the back end part, what we do is that we right click on a website and we go down to inspect. This is where we open up the can of worms, the nasty part. This is the actual behind the scenes of a website. Welcome to what's actually making all of our social media tick. This code right here. So this is actually what you are seeing here. And I'll zoom in a little bit if I can. I don't think I can, unfortunately. I'll have to go change my settings. So, and we're going to be seeing an example here of this here soon. But what we're seeing here on this, these little pointy brackets, this is HTML. It's a scripting language that makes code turn into something pretty for our users to see and interact with. So welcome to the dark side of the web. This is it. Isn't it fun? Look at it. It looks cool too. It has different colors on it. Just don't you feel like a hacker too when you're seeing all this? Like, I know what makes you tick. And actually, fun thing about it is that some programmers will throw like little Easter eggs in this code back here that like management doesn't know about. That's really funny. So sometimes you get a good laugh if you look behind it. Anyway, nerdy stuff. This is HTML. And this is what we're going to be discovering a little bit today. Remember how we got into here was we right-clicked and pressed inspect. Remember that. Not dark web, just the dark side. We're not going into any dark web stuff today. Great question though, Sky. Yeah, yeah, nothing with Bitcoin either. I can't even do Bitcoin. I'm not there yet. All right, so we lifted up the curtain here. So what you just saw over here were these pointy brackets. Look at them very, very closely. Every single one, every single line has those pointy brackets with words inside of it. That is HTML. What you're looking at there is something called a tag. HTML is built up of tags. That's how we construct it. What you're looking at here is a concept of an HTML tag, and how we know, again, that is from these pointy brackets. What you can also see from our code over here is that majority of these tags here have a partner. You have a starting tag here, but typically you always have an ending tag. Your ending tag will come with a slash and then the same word afterwards. It's just like curly brackets in our JavaScript. You have to have an open curly bracket and a closing curly bracket. Same with HTML, you have to have an opening bracket and a closing bracket most of the time. The one thing that you will see also sometimes is a thing like this. This is a tag that flies solo. We still have the slash in there, but it's only a one-liner. Here, it will not have a closing bracket. We'll see the difference between the two here as we move through HTML, but just be aware these are the two ways we can write HTML. Again, a tag with a closing friend or a one that flies solo with that slash at the very end. So now that we've discovered this, let's go ahead and try to create our own website. To do that, we need to actually understand how they begin. HTML or all websites will begin with one specific tag, and that is this one, pointy brackets, exclamation point, doc type HTML. This tells the internet that this is actually an HTML website and treat it as such. That's why we have this tag in there. The second one is probably the most important that we always need to include, and it is the HTML tag. This HTML tag has a partner, and it's probably the second most important tag to always include in your websites, /HTML. And sorry if the dialogue is covering up that. I move it over. You can feel free to move the dialogue over to the left too if it is moving it, because it was blocking it on my screen. So, and it just moves it right back. Okay. So we have the /HTML there to close our website. This right here, or I'm sorry, by the way, if anyone's wondering too, what is HTML even? It's called Hypertext Markup Language. That's what HTML stands for. It's not a really big deal, but if you want to sound smart, Hypertext Markup Language. Everyone's like, what does that stand for? And then you'll know. You're going to know. And it's probably a great trivia question, so write it down. So Hypertext Markup Language, these tags are how we start and end a website. Begin all, end all. And anything that we write, any other tags for HTML that we write, go between these two. That's it. That is the law. If you are going to write HTML, it needs to go between these two tags. All right, so let's keep going. Once we have that, well, we're going to go ahead and prepare stuff for our website. And there are two big things that go inside of our HTML tabs, or HTML tags. The first one, think of a human. We have a head. Humans have a head. Inside of our head, or also with this head tag, we're going to have a closing tag. So in here, inside of this head is everything about us. It's our personality, who we are, our name, everything. It's all in our head, right? So that's what's going on in these tags, is it has all of our information, our identity inside of it. So it's all about the website, things that the user does not see. People don't see our personality. They could perceive it, but they won't see it. It's all in the head. That's what these tags are representing, is that we're going to include our page's personality, our information up inside of here. One popular tag that's most of the time always, if not always, in our head tag is called the title tag. So you have title, my site title, /title. This is one part of information that's extremely important for a site, the site title. It goes in the head tags. So feel free to write this down. This is, again, head is the first big thing, one of two things that goes inside the HTML tags. So let's go ahead and discover the second one. The second tag, again, we're looking at a human body. Our personality is in here, but the second thing that people will see is the body, things that are actually outside or presentable to other people, to our users. So inside of the body, we also have that closing tag body as well. This is the visible parts of our site. It's what we actually see, or what the user sees when they're interacting with our site. So this is going to have your pictures, your words, your paragraphs, your blogs, any information, a nice video, anything like that, music videos, all that fun stuff goes inside of your body tags. So in here is where we need to include all of that. Now, if you're asking yourself or have the question, can the title tag go in the body tag? No. There are specific tags for the head and specific tags for the body. Title goes only in the head. Other things go in the body, such as one here, H1, header. H stands for header, 1 is the size. This is a way we can actually make a header on our website. So, specific tags for head and specific tags for body. The only two tags that go inside of the HTML tag is head and body. Remember that. Why I'm being very, very straightforward about that is because you can write technically the header between these HTML tags and it'll work perfectly fine, because HTML is very lenient. But that doesn't mean you should do that, because it will cause problems in the future if you try to do certain things. So though it might work right off the bat, it will cause you headache in the future, and I'm trying to basically protect you against that right now. So make sure you include only head and body within the HTML tags. So that is that right now. And as always, let's go ahead and see an example. So to develop websites, we're not going to be doing that on Replit anymore. Surprise, surprise, especially after the announcement today. What we're going to be doing in order to create websites is I'm going to introduce you to Visual Studio Code. So let's go ahead and go in there. And I know it's just going to open up with a big project of mine. So give me a second here, if it even wants to open it today. It's Kyle's Monday. Happy Thursday. Everything wants to get validated. All right, there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say new file here. So welcome to Visual Studio Code. This is an actual IDE, an environment that coders use, including myself, on a daily basis to create applications that change whatever. Either financial structures, healthcare systems, everything can be programmed right here. This is an actual IDE that we're going to be using into the future. So welcome to it. Visual Studio Code is one of my favorites. So what we just did was we created a file. Again, what we had at the home screen was new file, and I see that I'm glitching out a little bit. Am I glitching out? Everybody still okay on your end? Okay, I'm just seeing it on my end, so I'm just making sure. If I am glitching out at any time, remember that this recording will be on YouTube unglitchy because it's being recorded on my computer. Okay, so what I did was I pressed new file and basically to create this HTML. So like we said, the first thing that we need to put in here is exclamation doc type and HTML. And then now I'm going to have you all talk to me because I've missed you so. What is the next?
I have something to say.
Okay, Amy, is it about the question?
It's related to this. You said it's all in the head. It's actually on the deoxyribonucleic acid.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Yes, very scientific. I love it. So just for the metaphor, it'll be in the head. So that's what I meant by that. But thank you. I saw that in there. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So the question being now is that after the document type HTML that I gave you, what is the first most important tag that we're going to use here to create our HTML site?
HTML.
HTML is the first thing. HTML is the first thing. /HTML. What is the top part, which will always be on the top, the first thing that goes inside the HTML tags?
Head.
Very good. Head. What goes inside the head?
Title.
The site information. And then what was the one tag that we've explored so far? I think I heard it.
H1.
What is this tag inside the head that goes here? The one that we've explored.
Title.
Very
Title.
good. Title. My site title. Very good, everyone. So remember, title goes in head. H1 will be used a little bit later here. All right. So what do we have is the head. And then the next thing that we said we're going to add, by the way, if anyone's wondering what else goes inside this head, if you ever see meta tags, if you ever see links or script tags, that all goes in the head as well. You don't have to know about that just yet, but I just want to let you know that there are other tags that go inside the head. Let's go ahead and explore now. What's the second tag that goes in the HTML?
Body.
Very good. Body. Awesome job. All right. And then that one has a closing tag. And so after that, for body, what is the one tag that we've learned so far that creates a header?
H1.
Very good. My header.
H2, H3.
H1. Awesome, awesome. And that one also has a closing bracket. If you can tell, it always has a closing bracket if things go in the middle of it. So that's how you know. So body has things that go in the middle of it. Head does. Title does. H1 does. So that's why they have closing. They have a partner. They have a slash H1, a slash title, anything you want there. So there we go. All right. So now comes the fun part. Let's actually go ahead and create our website. What we're going to do here is press File, and then I'm going to say Save As. And this is where we should definitely pay attention here. So I'm going to go to Desktop. I'm going to go into our LC folder that we've been working with today. And I'm going to save my folder. And don't want to save it as that, but I want to do this as my website. And what I do is say .html. To dictate, it is an HTML file. Let's go ahead and press save there. Awesome. And as you can see, once we did that, Visual Studio Code actually comes through here and makes things look a little bit prettier. So everything gets color coordinated. Awesome. You guys ready to see a website that you all just built?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Double click our file here and look at that. A browser opens up and it says my header. We just did that.
Ooh.
Right? Air high five. Yes, awesome job. Air high five. Fantastic. Let's go ahead
In
and
here, I'm
quickly
using a website.
let's go ahead and quickly just explore a couple more tags here just to help you out. So let's go ahead and say P. P stands for paragraph. This is my paragraph of stuff. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and save that, which I just do Control S. So we're going to do File, Save. Either one. I come back here and I need to do refresh. So I come back up here, click the refresh button, and now we have a paragraph. Look at that. Isn't that neat? Other ones we can do is that we can create a button and say button, click me. I use the button tag, open and close. That's one. So we can go ahead and save that again, Control S. I come over here and I press refresh. And now I have a little button that says click me. I click it, but it's not doing anything. We'll figure out that in the future. But these are just different tags. If you have any questions about other tags you can do, look on W3 Schools. W3 Schools is full of awesome tags that you can use yourself.
How did you get it to open up and show what it looked like?
All you have to do is go to the file and so you save, sorry, my mouse keeps going away. Go over to LC. So it's wherever you save it, and you should see my website or whatever you save it as, .html. You double click, and it should open it up in a browser. If it doesn't, right click on it and press open with, and then click whatever you want, Firefox, Safari, Chrome, and it will open it up in your browser. Absolutely.
Explorer.
All right. So this is HTML
What about
in a
Internet
nutshell.
Explorer?
Internet Explorer also works. Yep.
Or Edge?
All of them. So yeah, very good. As long as it's a browser, you can even do DuckDuckGo. So yep, any browser will definitely work. So this is the start of our HTML. This is how we construct a website. So any questions about what we just did here before we move on? Any questions at all about HTML? How do you guys feel about HTML? It's one of my favorites because you get to design your own website.
I'm using a website to make my website when I could just be making it my own.
Exactly. Why cut out the middleman? You got this.
It's easy compared to JavaScript.
That is true. That is true. Yes, that is. I hear that one a lot. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, there's no other questions. We're going to move on here just to keep on time. So give me a second here. My mouse. There we go. All right. So we're going to come back here. And the final thing I want to talk to you about today, because we had 3 big fun topics, we're going to be finally getting with some GIT. We actually know GIT. We haven't been introduced before. But what we haven't talked about is what exactly is GIT. Do we actually get GIT? Are we understanding it? Well, today, hopefully, we'll come across a little bit better understanding about it. So let's go and explore that now. So you all have been creating code now for about, 13 lectures. So you have seen a nice file of code before. And as we just saw in Visual Studio Code, we're going to have a lot of files or folders or projects of code to actually keep safe. So Git is a way that we can actually have a place to save our code other than our local machine. Essentially, it's a way to save it in a safe spot. That's one thing that Git offers, is a safe haven for us to put our code at, so it can be accessible later in case of maybe our laptop falls in a river or something like that. We can always have Git there to be our backup. Real quick for a question, to create websites, do we use command prompt to write website code? No, what we were going to be using was Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is what we use to create the website. The terminal is what we'd be using to navigate the files and folders that it takes to build our website. All right, so Git is a way we can have a safe haven. But another way, or another thing that we can use Git for, is that say we have a friend or a team on the other side of the world, or even right next to our desk, that wants our code base. Well, in this case, we can use Git to share that code with them. You've already seen it. You've gotten LaunchCode's code and brought it onto your own machine. LaunchCode is basically your teammate sharing code with you so you can edit it. But one fun thing also is that when you're on a team or even working with other fellow coders on a single code base, maybe like a startup or something like that, or just friends, what happens that if your friend from across the world or just across the room edits a file, you have now the ability, or your friend has the ability to submit that change up to Git. And then you, as your coder on your own machine, has the potential to pull it in to your code base and then add that to your code. That's the beauty of Git, is that it's a collaboration tool as well. So not only is it a safe haven for your code, but offers immense collaboration between a large amount of coders, or even just between you and a friend. That's why Git is so fun and awesome. So we're going to move on a little bit more, just to explore Git in a more deeper sense. So let's actually go through what Git is doing with more Git terms. Let's bring back that code that we were just looking at here. So when we first start up our code in a project, what we need to do first is run an init, I-N-I-T. You might have seen this before. Init sets up a local Git repo. So basically it says, hey, I'm going to be using Git, initialize all my stuff so it knows what it's doing. That's what init does. That's when you first start your code. We just started with our first project. You run init. Now, say you do a few edits there on your code. Well, you already ran init, you're using Git. So now you want to save those changes that you just did. So what you do first is that you commit. You commit those changes of your code. What commit does is that it saves those changes locally to your Git, to that local Git repository. So remember, this is just locally. That's what commit does, just local changes, like clicking the save button on your machine for like a Word document. But this still doesn't help us. If that computer falls in the river, we're toast. So we need to bring in Git here to actually put it in a safe spot. To get our code base to Git, we do a thing called a push. We push our code up to Git. This is sharing those local changes. This is more now like in that Word document that you just saved your local changes on, dragging it to like Google Drive or something, so it's more collaborative. It's somewhere else on the cloud, that it's a safer spot in case your computer again falls in that river. So this is how we start out. Now let's bring in your friend. We're sharing with friends or a team. What they want to do now is say, hey, you're working on that cool application. I want a piece of that. I want to see what you're working on. And you have to, of course, allow that, but it's also possible. And what they have to do to get that cool startup code so they can start helping you out is called cloning it. You're calling a clone, or your friend will clone your work onto their machine. It gets a local copy of the repo and brings that code onto their machine then. So that's what we do a clone for. Ryan, yes, that is correct. This is what we've been doing. Now we're just diving a little bit deeper into what Git's actually doing on the back end and putting some more terminology to it. So here we have the clone here, and it creates that local repo on your friend's computer. Now, again, in that scenario we just talked about, your friend's going to put in that awesome edit that's going to get you that $1 million deal. So once they put in that code base, what they do is that they're going to put it up to Git. They're going to push that change up to Git. Push that change up to Git. And then finally, you want to get that $1 million code change. So what you want to do is that you are going to bring in that change using a thing called a pull. A pull. This is when you pull from Git, and it brings in all of the changes that you've done on your code base. So this is essentially the Git flow that you've been doing in class, but with the terminology put there for you. And why I'm doing this is because if we go back over to our terminal, and even your Git bash, you now will have the possibility to run all these commands from your computer. And I'm going to go ahead and try to do this, see if I actually have the capacity to do it. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to create a new folder. You know what, I'm going to do it just like this. Make directory, and then we're going to call it Kyle's website. There we go. And so if I go back over to my GUI, I see that I have Kyle's website. I'm going to drag this mywebsite.html inside of it. Now remember, you can use Git with any language. I'm just doing this with our HTML example just because it's convenient. But you can do it with JavaScript, Java, C, R, Cobalt, anything you want. Git will always be there to take in anything into its cloud. That's completely fine. So now that I'm in here, I'm going to do an ls. I'm going to cd into Kyle's website. Like we said, I just started my project. So my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a get init. So we initialize an empty Git repository into Kyle's website. It puts that .git inside of there. Now this is where it's fun. So we're going to do a git commit here. We're going to do a git. Oh, also, if you want to do like just see how you're doing right now in Git, go ahead and do a git status. Status will show you any pending changes. So it looks like we do have one. So what I want to do is add these files into my Git. So the next thing I'm going to do is run a git add -A. -A forces all the files to be in there. So now I'm going to do a git status again. And now I see that it changed to green. So again, what I did here was I ran a git add to add all of the files into my repo before I'm going to commit and push. So I'm piling everything up to tell Git up in the cloud what I'm going to put up there. So now after I initted and I added everything, what I'm going to do is do a git commit because I want to change everything locally. You need to run a commit before you run a push. You need to run a commit before you run a push. You need to save locally before you share globally. So what we do is a git commit, and then we say -m for message, my first init, or my first commit. There we go. So I have my first commit. So I just saved locally. Remember, there's nothing up in the cloud or up inside the repository. So we say git status just to make sure everything went through. There's no other things to commit here. Everything's been committed. Again, committed just means saved. All of my changes have been saved. So now is the big thing. We say git push. Oh, that's right. I need to do the remote name. I always forget this one because I always have my repos created beforehand. Let's see. You guys get to go into my GitHub. Woo! GitHub.com. Which one should I do? Let's do KWedge. Whatever. I was a kid. I didn't even know how to spell my last name. I completely did the wrong repository. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sign in here. Let me sign into my Git briefly. I'll take a look at that. Oh, come on. Seriously, right now? Okay. It is trying to authenticate me. Awesome. Let's try to do this. What? This is what happens during live demos. So let's see if I can actually do it today. If not, we're gonna just do this at another time. I can't read it. Okay. Try again. I apologize here. All right, Git, just being very secure. No one trusts anybody anymore. 6, 3, 4, 6, 4. There we go. All right, now I'm in. If you can tell, I haven't been in my repository actually on a website in quite some time. So I'm going to press new here for repository. Typically, most of your repositories in LC will actually already be created for you if you haven't noticed already. I'm just creating this just for example. So I'm going to say repository name. What is this? May 21 example. There we go. And I'm going to go and create repository. There we go. And so what I need to do is I already created my Git repository because I ran that Git init. So I'm going to copy the bottom one. If you haven't ran the Git init first, you can use the first one. You're going to be presented with these two options. Look at them very, very carefully if you're creating your own repo. We already ran this Git init, so we should just run the one down here. So we go back to our terminal, and I'm going to paste in that. Okay. Well, I'm just completely signed into the wrong thing on my, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Typically, yes, this would work. And we're going to go through in a better example next class. I apologize. I'm actually authenticated right now with my work. So I apologize. I can't actually push this, but we got into the point where we're almost pushed. So you saw how we were able to commit, we were able to init, and then we would typically push. But you have seen this on your own machines too when you're working with Replit. So we have seen those examples before, but I do apologize. I'm getting that 403. So we'll run through a better example here next lecture, just to make sure that we're actually solid on Git, because this is a very important concept. So what I'm going to do here is go back and I'm going to unmute you all and just answer any other questions anyone has about Git that I can show right now with this example. So feel free to unmute yourselves and ask away.
Kyle, when you were just showing us in Git where it showed you the instructions of what you could do if you hadn't already did what you did, it said to specifically to do git add readme, but I don't think you did that. So that's not necessary all the time.
I did not. It's not necessary, but it is recommended. Yeah. So this is the true way. So we can actually just do that just for fun. We'll come back here. I'm still going to get the 403 though. So yeah, I'm still getting the permissions there. But if I do an ls, let's see. The README, what that is so Git can have something to show on its site. A README is kind of like, what is this? And tell me about your project inside of the README. We'll discover more about what it is in future lectures. But it's kind of just like, think of it as reading the back of a book before you read it. It's really just the context of your code. What does this code do and what is it meant for? That's what goes into the README. But is it necessary? No. Is it recommended? Yes.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, Gio.
Will we be using the interface you are using, or will we be using source control integrated with Git in VS Code?
Technically, I believe most of it's through Git Bash, through the instructions. I would recommend doing the Git Bash and through terminal, because if you do it through the Git integration of VS Code, they do all the hard stuff for you. I know that sounds mean, but
Gotcha.
I would recommend doing the terminal first and then using the GUI through the Visual Studio Code when you are more comfortable with Git. So the understanding comes along with it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions from anyone on chat? Here we go. When I enter GitInit, I receive a permission denied. Make sure that you're not already initialized. If let's see if I get it. GitInit. A permission denied for a GitInit, I would not see that, because you shouldn't be trying to do anything. If that is, I would check what file you're trying, or what folder you're trying to do that on. If you're trying to do a GitInit on like a desktop or a documents, don't try to do that. Make sure you're in your own private directory, because you're going to try to initialize and get every single file there. So make sure you're in your own private subdirectory, something that a new folder that you've created when you're doing that. Yep. Make sure when you're running a Git init, you are not in a very important folder. Make sure you're not in photos. Make sure you're not in documents, desktop, anything like that. You need to be in your own private subdirectory. All right. Any final questions before we move on to our Mars rover walkthrough? I see one more person typing. I'll get one more question here. This is a longer lecture, I know. But there's so many fun, exciting announcements, and Kyle didn't get coffee today. I need coffee right after this, I swear. All right, I run git bash through. Can I run git bash through command prompt? Git bash is a command prompt, actually. So git bash is a CLI. Command prompt, or your CMD on a Windows machine, is also a CLI. So they're two of the same things. They just do something a little bit differently. So you should be running git bash. I think maybe you can start git bash from your command prompt, but I would just say just run it the typical way. There should be an icon in the Windows on your Windows machine for that. Hopefully that helps. Yep. All right. Well, last person typing here, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Set up for our That's not what I want. This guy. There we go. Assignment Mars rover. All right. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anybody else typing, so if you do have any questions, feel free to direct message me. Otherwise, talk to your TAs, TFs. And so what we're gonna do is hop into assignment 3. So, all right, deep breath. Everyone take a deep breath. We had a long class here. You didn't see it in my eyes. Look at these bags. There was a lot of stuff we just went over. See, I can't even talk. Went under, over, whatever. Everybody still with me? Everybody still there? Somebody talk to me. How's everyone doing out there?
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Thank you.
We made
Stick
it
in
through it,
there.
Kyle. It's
Stick in
okay.
there. We're almost there. It's almost there.
You're the real
I couldn't even.
Kyle, you
even
need
find a
coffee,
coat.
man.
I know, right? I know. It's been a long day.
Where is he?
Kyle,
What was that?
you're killing it, man.
You guys stop it. All right.
You are. Good job.
Yeah, we love you, Kyle.
All right.
I don't care what they say about you.
Oh gosh, you guys are the best. All right, guys, let's talk about assignment 3. So we have Mars rover. As I've mentioned multiple times, this is going to be a very tough assignment. So I really do want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. This assignment's going to include everything that we have learned up until this point, minus the HTML. So it's going to bring in classes. It's going to bring in functions. It's going to bring in testing, if statement, condition, all this fun conditional stuff, for loops, things like that. It's going to bring it all here, which is fine because you have all seen all of that before, but it's about bringing it together and understanding how it works together is sometimes the trickier part. So what we have here is going over assignment 3. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to be testing a Mars rover in this test. And we're going to be writing, I believe, 14 tests to do so. We come down here and we're going to have the required features to implement these separate classes. So we're going to be doing 3 classes in this assignment. That's going to be the command class, the message class, and the rover class. Continuing on, we have the sections. Get the starter code, we have the command class, message class, and rover class. So each section is going to be talking about a specific class. What I recommend is that you finish that class, start with the command class, then move on to the message class, then move on to the rover class. Do not try to skip around. Do not try to skip around because other parts feed off of other parts. So moving on. So we're going to go to the replicate code real quick. And actually, we'll hop into that in a second. We're going to go over just the rest of the here too. How to TDD. Like I said, there's going to be unit tests in here. So TDD is recommended to do that. So that means writing the test first and then fixing the code or creating the code to make the test pass. Remember, that's what Bree went over. I do recommend going over or using that, essentially that technique to achieve or to complete this assignment. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the Mars rover assignment here. I'm gonna go ahead and fork it top right. Always remember to fork it. Not that we can really do much with Replit without it, but always letting you know. All right, so here is our Mars rover code. First thing I want to point out, and we're gonna go over the file or folders here to the left, we see spec. Spec is a small word that means that's where our tests are going to be at. This is where our tests live, in the spec file. Command.spec, message.spec, rover.spec, and student grader. I'm assuming that's going to be something that we do not need to touch. So yeah, this is for the grading here. So we will not need to touch this. This is going to help your TFTA make sure that the code works properly. So don't touch this. We're going to be looking at the command, message, and rover class, or spec files and classes. So as we see already here, it does, oh, I'm just making sure that this is the right one before I actually, yeah. Okay. Oh, I forgot, it did change a little bit. So we're gonna be going over this a little bit together here. So let's go ahead and see on the assignment which one it wants us to start with. It says start with the command class. I'm gonna go and click on that. It comes down here to the class description. So just looking at the first bullet here, the class builds an object with 2 properties, constructor, command type, and value. We've been over constructors. We know what a constructor does. Where does a constructor belong and what kind of concept? The belonging to a
Class.
function, class, very good. So we know with that constructor, it's going to be going somewhere in that class. It's going to tell us exactly what's going to go on here. A value is related to the type of command. Also, read these directions very, very carefully. This is a pretty awesome application that you're about to build, and with any application, there's a lot of wires crossing, so make sure you read them in fine detail. So coming back over here, what it's going to make us do is that it's going to make us write a test first. So throws an error if the command type is not passed into the constructor as the first parameter. If we want to go ahead and run this, let's see actually what happens here. Looks like the spec command throws. I don't even know what this one's doing. No, so error. Let's actually see what it's doing. Okay, yeah. So the first one, I think it just gave you one for an example note. If anytime, yeah, that's right. So I'm actually seeing what will be the first one. So this class builds an object with 2 parameters, command type. Okay, so yeah, here we go. We come down to the command test here. For the first test, note that the test description reads throws error if the command type is not passed. Remember, throws an error. When we throw an error, we are throwing it like so. And they already gave you this code here, but I just want to give you a little bit more in detail. This is throwing an error. We use that keyword throw. That's what they mean by that. So just take note of that. Let's go ahead and see what else we have here. So click to run to verify the test passes. So we just ran that and all the tests pass. So right here, I believe they're just giving us, or let's see. Okay, so they're just kind of like taking us through here a small example of a working test. So it says to change the line. So we would come into the command.js, and I would say, instead of a dot here, I'm going to do an exclamation point. If we run this, what's going to happen is that we are going to get an exit status of 1 because one of our things failed. One of our tests failed. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that when you get this code to start out with, they're going to give you a working test for your reference. In the first part, they're going to try to make you break it just to show you what it looks like, and that's what I'm showing you now. So this is what a failure on the right-hand side would look like for that spec. So I'm going to let you all go through that error on your own, but I just want to let you know that's what it means by the first test. Additionally, you change it back to a period. Make sure that you don't do too many changes, or if you do baby steps of changes and run it and see what happens. That's the best way to debug your code, or even like when you're creating something new, take baby steps, test along the way. So that's what I have for that. Let's see what else, other tips I can give you here before that. So great. Create a second command test using constructor sets command type as description. And it test checks that the constructor in the command class correctly sets the command type in the property. So this one is basically, so for test 2, you actually have to create your own test. You're going to be testing the constructor in the command class. All of these tests, as we know from testing, our testing unit, our unit testing section, is that all these tests will specifically test, all the tests will specifically test the class that was intended for. So these will all test the command class. Well, the message one will test the message class, and the rover will test the rover class. So, seeing what else we can do here. Where's all the other stuff at?
You gotta scroll down and it says, "Great job, astronaut. When you're ready, keep going."
Oh,
Check
keep
out-
going, part 2. Okay, yeah, it's like wow, they're really short in this one. And 3 tests and you're done. All right, part 2. Okay, so then on to the message class. All right, awesome. So basically what I'm saying here is that I'm trying to think of the best tips here, but really just go class by class. Don't try to skip around. That will confuse pretty quickly. And then make sure that the tests that you're writing for the command class, the message class, rover class, stay consistent with the class that you're going for. So from that, I'm going to open up to you all for any questions that you've discovered on this assignment. And I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability, but I also have to limit myself. So I'm going to leave the last 5 minutes up to you all. Any questions you have about this, about the assignment, or any of the past material that we covered today as well? Anything at all. I know everyone's tired. I know I was kind of lame and boring today. I apologize. Doesn't command specs already have 3 tests built into the starter code? So yes, Trey, they do have 3 tests already built in there. That's to give you a reference on test number 1 to see working tests. So if you look under test 1, they should have you break that first. I don't believe they gave you all of them. Maybe they do. They didn't in the past.
I think they do.
Do they? Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really nice. Okay.
You don't actually start like really writing stuff till the message.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. So this is actually really nice. So yeah, it looks like they give you 3 working tests. Let's go into command real quick. And it looks like, okay, so actually they should all work. Actually, that should all work, right? So I guess commands all finished then.
I think message as well.
Yeah, all the tests for message are done, but
Message shouldn't be created. I don't see any tests in my message.
I had starter tests. I had it. Oh no, I had it like
I
that.
have got 3 tests in my starter code for message.
Oh, for message?
Do I?
I had 3 tests in mine as well.
Yeah.
Luckies, I don't have that.
The tests, but not the JS.
Yeah.
Kyle, I have all the tests done.
But
in my
not the
starter code.
JS. But not the JS.
You might be seeing some folks may be seeing essentially the tests run that live within the student grader test. So those explicitly are testing your tests. And if you don't read them carefully, it's pretty easy to confuse the two. So that may be what you're seeing.
I mean,
Yeah. For that, I just commented out all the student grading stuff.
That
The
shouldn't
original
take
one
anything for you to do
with
that.
the GitHub Classroom link contained the tests for message, because I've got it too. And I noticed that when I first cloned the repository or whatever.
I know you and I are meeting, Chris, in a few. We'll check. Okay, they do have the test. Well, I will take a look at it and out to the ed team. For now, unless you've already started it, unless you already have significant amounts written, go ahead and pull the starter code from this replet.
Also, Clark, you guys mentioned something about how sometimes you'll see on a website that the people did a code in the HTML, like a picture. I found one on Amazon last time, and I did a screenshot and I have it as my background.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, Clark, is there anything else that you wanted me to go over to for the?
No,
so
for now, unless you have like enough code like written, unless you've like started a significant amount, please just pull from the replet, not the GitHub Classroom. If you have a lot written, I certainly don't want you to lose it. Continue with what you're doing. I don't want to say the ones through GitHub Classroom that have the 3 message tests written. I will look into that. I wouldn't anticipate those are correct or perfect. So please don't think you're losing out on anything. I think that may just be an error. I will look into it. But just use the replet link that exists in the book for now.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Clark. All right. That being said, everyone, we are right at 7, so perfect timing. If there's no other final questions, as you can tell, Kyle's going to go get at least a Coca-Cola with some nice caffeine in it. And other than that, enjoy your studio tonight. It's going to be actually pretty fun. It's all about HTML. Remember what we discussed today in class for it. Other than that, have a fantastic rest of your week. Have a fantastic weekend, and have a fantastic next week too. Remember that there is no class on Monday at all, but go back to your small groups on Thursday at 5:30. Other than that, Have a great one, everyone. Y'all did great. Awesome. Fantastic. Perfect. And you all are the best class I have had in 2021 and always. So everyone have a great
Thank you,
one.
Kyle.
And I will
Thanks,
talk to you all
Kyle.
later.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kyle.
Have a great one. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Kyle.